do is I can cancel all your tickets, whatever you have to do. Okay. So again, a denial of service type of attack. Okay.
Even I can guess the pattern you choose for password. That would help me cracking other passwords.
Yes. If you are using the same password at all other places, people do have this habit. They don't want to change their mind a lot. So they have common passwords to all. Yeah, and again, what you said is pattern. Okay. Some people prefer hacker sort of password. Like for E, they will replace 3. For A, they will have 4, something alpha, something like that. So I can guess the password and I can launch a hybrid attack. Okay, so that was one thing. Another thing which we had discussed, major cause of security issues is the improper deployment. Okay. So I have one more example of improper deployment. Okay. I had created this site for an NGO called Hello Medical Foundation. Okay. Now this is the second version of their website, which I haven't created. They have got another smarter administrator or another smarter web developer because I didn't do a very good job at that time. So they had another one. Windows 2000 server image. Okay. So Microsoft used to provide a service called MSDTC, Microsoft Distributed Transaction Control System or Transaction Coordinator. Okay. What this system used to do is it ensures that whatever transaction your system is doing, it is complete. Okay. If the transaction breaks in between, okay, it allows the client and server to reconnect and complete their transaction. Okay. Now the beauty of this service was, if server and client were doing some transaction, connection fails. Okay, it allows client to connect, reconnect, and reconnect until it fails or until it dies. Okay. So if a transaction is broken, then the client can. There is no upper limit that client should make attempts to connect to server, and after that it should assume that server is dead and I shouldn't reconnect. Okay, so there was no upper limit defined in this service. Okay, and there are few more good things about this service which we will just explore. Okay, so I will just tell you how this service works. Okay, this MSDTC, it works on port number 3327. Okay, and here I have. Let's try to connect with it. Okay, 11372 is the service port. Okay, so this is a Linux machine. Okay, I have Windows machine on the other side. Okay, its IP is 141.2. Okay, now I'm trying to connect to that service. Let's check whether this service is running over there. Okay, so let's try to do netstat. Netstat is standard command to check what all ports my machine is listening on. So I do netstat, and I guess yes, here. So it is listening on this port. Okay. Now let's go here and let's try to connect. So yeah, I got to connect to the service. Okay. Now I want to do some transaction. Okay. Now how I will be doing transaction? I need to tell myself that if the connection is broken, very first thing is I need to identify myself, who I am and where the server needs to connect. Okay, if the transaction is broken. So command goes like this. Identify. Okay, this is identify command by which the remote server or the MSDTC service will identify me. Identify 3, okay, and 3. This is the version of the MSDTC protocol. It's a TIP protocol, transaction initiation protocol. So this is the version of initiation protocol, transaction initiation protocol, which I understand. Okay, this is the lower protocol version and the upper protocol version which I understand. So that is 3.3. Okay, and I will give the IP where I want the server to reconnect if the connection is broken. Okay, so I will give my own IP. And the port where I want to connect it, I will give it 8080. Okay. So this is the standard syntax of the tip command. So it says, yes, I have identified you, and after this, if the connection is broken, I will try to connect you on 192.168.141.3 at port number 8080. Fine? And it says that I will speak protocol version 3. Okay? Now I say, let's prepare. Now, I'm just requesting to be prepared for a transaction, okay? And let's identify this transaction by the name of ClubHack. Okay? So I'm giving some name to the transaction. Sorry, I just check what's wrong. I need to push it. Cheat sheet ready with me so that so let's take the request to identify the identifier. I'm putting some string in it. Okay, so this is the string. Filter string by which we will be identifying this transaction. Okay. Now I will ask it to prepare. Okay. And it says it's prepared. Okay. Now what I will say is, now I will try to break this connection. I will see if the server is trying to reconnect to me. Okay. So I will ask it to reconnect. So it has reset the connection. Now I'm sure that server is trying to connect to me, okay? But how I will identify whether it's trying to connect to me or not? What I will do is I will use NC. NC is a tool, also known as NetNet. NC is short for NetNet. Okay? It's called as Swiss Army knife for networking. Okay? It's a very good tool. So I will put it in listening mode on port number 80. So it will listen for any incoming. C. So server was trying to connect to me. As soon as it found that there is a port 8080 which can take the connection, it tried to connect to it and it got connected. Okay? Everything is fine? Okay. Now, any security issues in this? Come on, think like hacker. Okay. Now there is something called reflection attack. Okay, reflection attack. Now, instead of this string, if I give 127.1.0.0.1 and port 3327 and 3372. Okay, what will happen? So what I'm doing is, I'm giving it loopback ID and the same port number. So what it will do is, it will try to reconnect to itself, right? And if I open several such multiple connections, break the transaction and ask it to connect to itself, then what will happen is, that is a reflection attack. Or if I give it to, if I give non-existent port or non-existent IP, it will try to connect to that server. Okay, that's a simple technique to do the DOS. Okay, also called as reflection attack. If you do it, if you loop it back on the same IP on the same port. Okay, or if we are doing it to others, then it's a DOS. Now the another thing is, another flaw in this MSDTC service is, now hereafter if I give anything, okay, any string which is not part of RFC of tip, okay, the service, what happens to the service? Let's see. Okay, I'm here, and now I'm get the next try. So I don't see the service anymore running over there. Okay, and if I refresh, I see that the service is crashed. Okay, the service is stopped. I need to restart. Okay. Fine. So that was a design flaw, and also there is a coding flaw in this. So that's why on reconnecting, if I give anything, any garbage, the service crashes. Okay. So 2 ways to DOS the attacks, DOS the system. Okay. So we have seen implementation flaws, we have seen the design flaws, okay, and we are now we are yet to see the design flaws, coding flaws. Okay, so I give it to Aseem and Murtuja so that they can take this further.
So the intent is clear. You need to calculate how many times the ball is passed between the white team, okay, from the black team.
The answer is 13.
So how many for 13?
But did you see the moonwalking bear?
So what is the moral of the story? So if you are given some task to do, whether be it design or whether be it creating a software from that design or architecture, use your own brains rather than just blindly doing what has been told to you. Okay. So we'll start with the basics, and we'll go into more details about. So we'll start with the web first. Okay. So let's start with the XSS. I have a demo ready. So how many of you are familiar with XSS? Cross-site scripting? Okay. So I'll give you a brief about XSS. In XSS, what happens is you're somehow able to inject script inside a victim's browser. So normally, typically, how that happens is you can have either a stored XSS or a reflected XSS. Stored XSS is when you actually store the script on the server itself. So whenever a victim actually visits a page, the script comes as part of the server response. Okay. So it's a normal behavior to give an HTML response which has JavaScript in it. Okay. And then reflected is when let's say you have an input. Very common example would be Google. Okay. Now if instead of my search string, if I give let's say a script, and Google does not pass or filter whatever input is coming from the user and passes it back as a normal string, what will happen is with the response, so I think simple example. Okay, so you send a query. Your query is TEST, which is there in the URL. You get your query string back. Okay. Now let's say instead of this, it's just passed in as the HTML text. Okay. So if I put in a script here, what will happen is that it will be passed in as part of HTML text. But since it's a script tag, it will be interpreted by the browser as a script. Okay, instead of showing it as the text. Okay, so what will happen is it will be executed on the victim's browser. So now I have the URL ready. All I need to do is just send this URL to a victim. As soon as he clicks on it, the script code will go to the server, come back the same way without being modified or filtered, and be executed on the user's browser. So is it clear, or any doubts till now? All right. So for that example, we have, this is a tool called Field. It's browser exploitation framework. So you can use XSS to control a particular browser, and then you can actually send whatever exploits you have for that. So once you know the version of the browser that the user is running, you can actually send exploits from your controlled server. So what it does is, you just include a JavaScript from the framework into the XSS URL or a stored XSS. So, okay, stored XSS, common example would be, let's say you have in Orkut or in some of the social networking sites like LinkedIn, where they ask for a particular information. So let's say LinkedIn asks for what a person is actually doing right now. So you type in is working on ClubHack. Okay, and then that is shown as text on the profile of the user. So if I visit, let's say Murtuja visits my profile and I've written is working on ClubHack. So on Murtuja's browser, that will come as a text string. Now instead of is working on ClubHack, if I type in a script code that is not actually filtered at LinkedIn server, what will happen is when Murtuja will visit my profile, that script code will come as part of the response and then get executed on his browser. Now once it executes, I can do anything I want. So I can steal his cookies, I can hijack his session, or I can create a session with Beat framework, I can send exploits, I can redirect him to some other site, or anything I want to do. Let's say it's username or password. They'll create a query in such a way that it will be like select something from this table where username equal to what has been passed by the user from here directly, and password equal to this. Now it will work fine as long as you are passing valid data to it. Okay, but what if you are not passing valid data to it? What if you are passing part of an SQL statement? What then? So your query in effect becomes select something from some table where username equal to something, or drop table users. So you can put anything, whatever you want. So you need to test that out. Again, basic common example, username, password,